Mic check for the YouTube stream. Mic check for the YouTube stream. Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll turn the mic on here.
Can you do it like at the Congress when you say, I see my time to...
Yes, you can.
You can? Okay.
Thank you. Good morning, and welcome to the Committee of Adjustment. My name is Anne McCauley, and I will be chairing the meeting today. The panel members joining me are Mr. Khan, Mr. Saeed, Mr. Stinson, and we also have Committee of Adjustment staff who will be assisting us. In accordance with Section 4553 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw that applies to the property, permission to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consents to sever property to create new lots. Before we proceed, I want to read the land acknowledgement. For Scarborough, we acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit and the Williams Treaty signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. The Committee of Adjustment public meetings are now conducted in a hybrid in-person and virtual format. Some applicants and participants will make their submissions in person, and others will participate virtually by electronic means through WebEx and online digital platform. The meetings are also streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel, and anyone wishing to view the hearing may watch on YouTube. Those who want to participate virtually and have registered in advance will be connecting with their computer, tablet, smartphone, or telephone and have the option of participating via video or audio only. All virtual participants will automatically be muted on entry. When your time is called, you will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. We ask that you also mute your devices until you are called on to speak. Those participating by video appearance will be temporarily upgraded to panelists when your item is being held. During this time, your camera will be enabled. You will only be visible during the 5 minutes allotted speaking time. At all other times, your video will be disabled and you will be reinstated as an attendee. For both in-person and virtual participants, the Committee of Adjustment staff will share presentations submitted in accordance with the written submission deadline. Those participating through WebEx are not allowed to share screen or any other panelist controls during a video appearance. The host may remove you from the panelist role if you fail to respect this instruction. Receiving a copy of the decision of the committee. People attending in person today who want to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must fill out a decision request card, and those participating virtually need to submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address because the Committee of Adjustment and Toronto Local Appeal Board, TLAB, will be sending notifications and appeal updates by mail. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, you may be able to appeal the decision to the Toronto Local Appeal Board, TLAB, or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal. However, the provincial government amended the Planning Act and generally removed rights of third parties to appeal Committee of Adjustment decisions. Only the applicant, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, specified persons and public bodies are permitted to appeal decisions of the Committee of Adjustment. Appeal instructions are sent out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. Our hearing procedure. I will call each item in order listed on the agenda. Making your submissions. When an application is uncontested, the applicant or agent may proceed with their presentation if desired. When the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you are reaching the 5 minutes. Any presentation or other materials you wish to submit to the committee must have been emailed in advance of the hearing. Staff committee members cannot accept materials at the hearing. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee on the application. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to the proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised to ensure that the revised application is correct and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes. Then individuals either in support or opposed to the application will be invited to speak. Generally, we will call first on speakers in the hearing room, and then those participating through Webex. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they've finished their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion. The application will then be taken into the committee for a decision. We're proceeding with the morning session. I am looking for okay. Sorry. I am looking for confirmation of minutes of our last meeting.
Through the chair, is there another motion that you wish to table?
Maybe I'm out of order. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you for the reminder. Please excuse me. This is my first time as chairing these meetings, so it's taking a bit of time. However, we have a new motion that the Scarborough panel of the Committee of Adjustment does not excuse any absences from the November 15th, 2023 Committee of Adjustment meeting. Do I have a mover of that motion? Stinson, and a seconder?
I second the motion, Madam Chair.
Okay. I have a motion moved by Mr. Stinson and a seconded by Mr. Said. All in favor? That motion is carried. Okay. Confirmation of minutes. confirmation of minutes of our last meeting. Do I have a mover for the minutes of the last meeting? Mr. Said.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I put forward motion for approval of minutes of our last meeting dated October 18.
Thank you, Mr. Said. I was in attendance at that meeting, so I will second that motion. All those in favor? Thank you. That motion is carried. Is there declaration of interest? Let me just come down here.
Through the chair, there are none from staff.
Thank you. Is there a declaration of pecuniary interest from any panel members? Seeing none, I will proceed. Okay. The next item is deferral requests. Mr. Secretary Treasurer, are there any deferral requests?
Through the chair, there are 2 deferral requests for the morning session. The first item is item number 4, 23 Fulham Street. Defer to the December 7th hearing at the request of the applicant in order to correctly identify all requested variances.
So that is a deferral request for item. Can I have that number? Oh, the item number 4, 23 Fulton Street. Is that correct?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to the deferral and only speaking to the deferral? Not seeing anyone. Is the applicant available?
Through the chair, the applicant is not signed in.
All right. To the Secretary Treasurer, do we have a letter from the applicant acknowledging that he agrees to the deferral?
Through the chair, we do have a letter confirming the deferral request.
Okay. Panel members, do I have a resolution dealing with the deferral?
Through the chair, there's also a speaker registered virtually
For the deferral?
for this item.
Oh, okay. Is the speaker registered? Is the speaker online?
Through the chair, Sheila White, you are now unmuted.
Thank you.
Morning.
Good morning. You are speaking only to the deferral. Do you have any comments that you want to make?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Madam Chair. Regarding the deferral, I was hoping that my concerns could be heard today. If you look at the visual materials I provided in advance, you'll see that the issue concerns a public fence, a chain link fence at the northern boundary of the property. And I'm feeling, if you hear my concerns now, that perhaps the applicant, when he goes away for his deferral, could consider this item with staff along with the other considerations that the building plan examiner has raised.
Thank you very much, Madam. As you know, we are only speaking to the deferral. I believe you have provided written comments, and those comments are available to the applicant.
Madam Chair, I only provided visuals, but my comments are spoken comments that I prepared for today to accompany the visuals. So perhaps I could put my comments on record by emailing them to staff, since I didn't know I wouldn't have an opportunity to speak to my visuals today.
Yes, Madam, you may provide further information. If this item is deferred, it will be held at a later meeting, and any information that you provide on that will be available to all committee members.
Okay, thank you. I was just wanting to make the point for efficiency that if the applicant.
No, I'm
could
sorry,
absorb
Madam
my
Chair.
concerns.
I'm sorry, Madam. We really need to deal only with the deferral. We can't deal with anything else today.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Do I have a motion for deferral?
Chair, I'd like to move that item 4 be deferred.
And do I have a second? Moved by Mr. Stinson, seconded by Mr. Said for deferral. All in favor?
Madam Chair, we can add that this is going to be brought back in our December 7 meeting.
Thank you. And a new notice will be sent out. Okay. Are there any other items for deferral?
Through the chair, the last deferral item for this morning's session is item number 13, 756 Warden Avenue. Defer to the January 2024 hearing at the request of the applicant in order to address concerns identified by Transportation Services.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to the deferral of the application for 756 Warden Avenue? No? Is there anyone on the YouTube who wishes to speak to this?
Through the chair, just a point of clarification. It's people need to register in advance, and they're on WebEx, not YouTube.
Thank you. Okay. Is there anyone on WebEx who wishes to speak to this deferral? Not seeing anyone? Then can I have a motion from the committee?
Through the chair, we have the agent.
Thank you.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, can I have your name, please?
Oh, yes, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Katrina Malgash, and I'm a registered professional planner with Arcadis. We just wanted to know that we're in agreement, or as we did advise staff, that we agreed to the deferral request to take some time to address some of the comments and come back to the committee in the new year.
Thank you. I understand that staff have indicated that January 24th is a committee meeting. Is that satisfactory?
Through the chair, the date has not been determined yet. It will be to the January, sometime in January. We expect the schedule to be released shortly for 2024.
Ah, that's where I get the 24 from. So, Madam, I am corrected that the deferral is to a meeting in January of 2024, not January 24th. Do you have anything further that you wish to see as an applicant? Okay, not hearing anything. Do I have a motion from the committee? A motion from Mr. Said.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I put forward motion for deferral of item 13, and this deferral is on the request of the applicant, and this will be considered in a meeting that is scheduled, to be scheduled sometime in January next year.
And do I have a seconder?
Chair, I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion from Mr. Said and a seconder from Mr. Stinson to defer this application to a meeting in January. All those in favor? That motion carries. Okay, thank you. We are now proceeding with the first item on our agenda. That first item is 15 BUTTERWORTH Avenue. And to the staff, we have a supplementary report on this. The purpose of the application is to demolish the existing dwelling and construct a new two-story dwelling. There are 9 variances asked for. We have comments from Transportation Services, Urban Forestry, and Metrolinx. Is the applicant online? Yes.
Morning.
Sorry to interrupt.
Chair, committee members,
Sorry to interrupt.
Just a minute, please.
Through the chair.
Yeah.
I want to clarify the public hearing notice incorrectly indicates that a consent is being requested. It actually, just to clarify, it's a minor variance variances are requested for this proposal, for this application. We will correct this in the decision.
Thank you. So this is a variance application, although the notice identifies it as a consent. However, we can proceed because all the information that we need to deal with this as a variance is before us. Thank you, Mr. Applicant. Sorry to interrupt you. Do you want to proceed?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, Madam Chair, committee members. My name is Dale Terrio of Trenton Drafting and Design. I'm at 32 Holland Street in Trenton, Ontario, and I'm the agent for this property.
Thank you. We have read your application. Committee, do you wish a presentation? Not seeing anything. Applicant, do you have anything further you wish to say?
Just that we tried to work with the adjacent neighbor. We reinstated the right-of-way between the two properties, and we also redesigned the drainage to drain to the front and back of the property instead of onto the right-of-way there. And just trying to be a little bit more neighborly about the design.
Thank you. Mr. Saeed, do you have a question?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a few short questions from the applicant, Mr. Dale. Mr. Dale, thank you very much for updating that you have taken up this matter with the neighbors. I hope there is some consultation on that. While I am looking at the variances before the committee today, actually speaking, I don't find there is a big difference as far as the variances before me today. So would you please elaborate on that, what consultation you have taken with the neighbors, and accordingly or subsequently, what design changes are there? Could you just briefly highlight on that? And then I will go to my next question.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. So it was number 8, item 8, where the minimum required landscaping area in the front yard was 12.76. That's the minimum required by the bylaw. Our proposed soft landscaping in the front yard in this revised application from the deferral from the previous meeting, it's been revised to 6.59. And what we had actually had before, I can read it, it's so small.
Okay, so Mr. Dale.
I think it was 8, sorry.
It was vice versa. You know what, the last time the landscaping area was 8.44 square meter, which has been further reduced to this time to 6.59 square meter.
That's correct.
So that shows that the variance is, I don't see any improvement there then.
The improvement would be that the right-of-way, we were planning on using that as landscape open space in the front yard there. The neighbor insisted on retaining that, so that's why we had to reduce the landscape area there, the soft landscape area.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Committee members, do you have any further comments or questions for the applicant? Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on application for 15 Butterworth Avenue? Not seeing anyone. Is there anyone on the line who wishes to speak?
Through the chair, there are none.
Thank you. Okay. Committee members, are you ready to take this matter into committee? Do I have any comments that committee members would like to make? No?
Madam Chair, just a comments on that. Mr. Dale has, yes, Mr. Dale elaborated on that point. The landscape, the front landscape has been further reduced as compared to previous application, which was not a good thing. But the rationale behind that, perhaps they are trying to accommodate the request or mitigate the problem of the neighbors, which is appreciated in that way. With that, I think my concerns, the justification is there, so I am okay with that.
Thank you, Ms. Seed. Any other further comments from committee members? No. I note that we have conditions from Urban Forestry. We have Metrolinx are asking for an environmental easement and no TS. What is TS?
Through the Chair, Transportation Services.
Transportation services have no conditions. To the applicant, I think I forgot to ask whether you have read those conditions and are you satisfied with them?
Yes, Madam Chair, we are. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, members of committee, are we ready to proceed with the motion? Mr. Said.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I put forward motion for approval of item number 1, and there is only one condition, which is from Urban Forestry, and this is Urban Forestry condition number 1.
Through the Chair, there's also a Metrolinx condition.
Is these conditions or these are recommendations? The easement,
Metrolinx is asking for an
Recommendations.
environmental easement in this case.
right, so should we add it as a
If we could
condition?
add it to
Okay,
condition.
so I revised my, my motion, subject to condition of Urban Forestry and Metrolinx.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
Chair, I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Stinson. Moved by Mr. Said, seconded by Mr. Stinson, subject to conditions as outlined. All in favor? That item is carried. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Okay, we'll proceed with application number 2. Sorry to take so long. I'm just trying to synchronize my computer with what I have in front of me here. If you'll give me a minute. Okay, I'm now synchronized, I believe. This is an application for 777 Warden Avenue. The purpose of the application is to permit a retail use and drive aisle with a 2.5 wide landscape buffer. There are 3 variances attached to this application. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to the application for 777 Warden Avenue? Not seeing anyone. Is the applicant online? Can we move one of these chairs so I can see the person back there that's, both of them?
Good morning, Madam Chair. and
Perfect.
Committee.
Thank you. We needed to rearrange the room a bit so that I could see the staff person that has indicated that you are connected. So, Mr. Applicant, the applicant is online. Is there anyone in the audience? There's no one in the audience. Committee members, do you wish a presentation? Not seeing one. To the applicant, is there anything further you wish to add to this item?
Yes. First of all, my name is Nicholas Malta, representing Mainline Planning Services. I'm joined on the line as well by Joseph Plutino, the principal planner here at Mainline. I understand that there were no comments from any of the departments concerning this matter. You have Mr. Plutino's planning opinion that the requested variances meet the 4 tests and are minor as they improve the existing site condition and are technical in nature to support a concurrent condominium conversion application. In the interest of being brief, Mr. Plutino and I are available to address any questions if needed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any questions from the panel members to the applicant? Not seeing any. I'm sorry, Mr. Saeed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to the applicant, a short question. Variance number 1, where you understand that retail use is the listed one is not permitted. What you are asking is not permitted. Just give me a rationale for that. What you are asking for, and also my question is that do this location have any tree removals? I know there is no condition of urban forestry, but I need to reconfirm from you that there is no tree removal or injury is there for this location.
Thank you for your question. First of all, just to confirm, there will be no tree removal on the site, either through the variance or through the condominium conversion. And then regarding the proposal to add retail use, this is just because it is a legal not conforming condition. The site has been operating circa 1970, and there are already existing retail uses on the site, so we're just looking to bring this building, that front building, Building A, into compliance.
So this is an existing condition and it's a vehicle repair center, correct?
Yes, sorry, you mind just repeating that? I didn't catch the end, sorry.
So what you are saying is that this is an existing condition and this is a vehicle repair center?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Any further questions of panel members? No? Are we ready to take this matter into committee? Okay. Mr. Saeed, are you prepared to put forth a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, if the other members don't have any comments, or I can put forward motion. As the applicant mentioned to us, this is an existing condition and a confirmation that there is no tree removals or injury there. I don't see any conditions there, Madam Chair. Therefore, I put forward motion for approval of item number 2, no conditions.
Thank you.
Second.
Mr. Mohammed, no, Mr. Khan seconds that. Thank you. Okay, it's moved by Mr. Saeed.
Through the chair, we need to hear the member second the motion. I didn't. Did he second it? Can you turn your mic on?
Khan seconded the motion.
Actually, for the record.
Second the motion.
Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor? Mr. Saeed, have you voted? I'm asking for all those in favor. Can we have the vote again? Hands up, please. Hands up, everybody. Okay. This application has been approved and there are no conditions. Thank you. Okay, we proceed to the application number 3, which is for 9 Partridge Lane. there is, I believe, a supplementary report that has been provided. The application is to demolish the existing dwelling and to construct a new two-story detached dwelling. And there are 4 variances involved. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to the item for 9 Partridge Lane? No? Is the applicant online? Yes, I can see. Good morning. Mr. Applicant, do you wish to make a presentation or add any additional comments?
I would like to briefly talk about it. Last time we submitted and we went back to the transportation service, and now they have, with the amended site plan, they agreed, and with the, with the reduction of 9.2 meter driveway. So I don't see any other staff report is objecting anything here. So if there is any question, then I will answer the question.
Through the chair, can you turn on your mic, please? Thank you.
Are there any questions to the applicant from the panel members? The applicant, you have seen there are conditions from community planning, urban forestry, and no new transportation services comments that were provided.
Through the chair, there are transportation services comments, and they're recommending reducing the driveway width.
Thank you.
Yeah.
To the applicant, are you in agreement with the comments from transportation services?
Through the chair, they're also recommending tying to site plan as well.
Okay. All right. So to the applicant, you are in agreement with that condition, and there's a condition to tie the application to the site plan. Are you also in agreement with that condition?
The site plan, yes. The site plan, yes.
Yes, we wanted to tie the approval of this application to the site plan that you have submitted. And we have urban forestry conditions as well. Those are standard conditions.
Yeah, fine. I'm fine with all the conditions.
Good, thank you.
Through the chair, you may want to confirm with the applicant that they do support revising their application to reduce the driveway width from 9.6 meters to 9.2 meters.
Yeah, that I agreed. It's I think it's already in the revised drawing.
Okay. Thank you. The applicant has agreed, and he believes it's identified on the revised site plan. Do I have any additional questions from the members? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question to the applicant, through you, Madam Chair, my question is that to me, variance number 1, 2, 3, and 4, they do not comply the zoning bylaws. So I would appreciate if he can justify how should I understand.
Actually, we have gone through last time on that, and then there are 3 variances here. 4 variances.
There are 4
One is
variances.
transportation.
Four
The all
variances.
other 3 variances are, because this the existing zoning bylaw is an old it's carrying on the old requirements like 33% and the gross floor area control of 279, right? And and the rear yard setback is that most of the building is comply with the rear yard setback except a single story addition that is not in conformance with the rear yard addition. And so
okay,
you know,
we have 3
It's in general conformance with the existing neighborhood, that if you walk around the neighborhood and then you can see all these large homes are already there. And secondly, that I've done a little survey with the neighborhood, and they have no objection to the proposal that I had, because we have done the survey, these lots, immediate neighborhood, number 4, number 6, number 10, number 11, number 12, which I have already submitted to city, that they have no objection for this proposal. That's what I'm trying to say here. If you have any specific question, then I can answer that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Sir, Madam Chair, through you, I want to ask specifically variance number 1. The floor area is deficient by far. The maximum allowed is 279. That's the maximum area you can have. But you are asking for 459.17 meters square. It's too much.
Okay, in that neighborhood, this question was raised last time too, and I've been to the neighborhood, and then I looked at that, through some of the committee of adjustment decision, and also in that neighborhood, I have the addresses here. Number 1 lowering has 468.08 meters squared. This was approved by the committee. Application number A10915SC. And there was another one which is even more, which is 18 group click, right?
That's Groville.
Groville. GROOK. Groville. Yeah. GROVEHILL. Grooveville Drive, number 18. This I got it from the impact statement, which is 5,287, which is about 491.17 meters square. So this is still already there in the same immediate neighborhood. So.
Thank you. Any other questions, Mr. Cohen?
And I see most of the houses are there. Some are 400 meters squared, 395, 397. There's so many, but there are big houses in this neighborhood.
Okay. Any additional questions? Seeing none, Mr. Said.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Short question again to the applicant. I see there are conditions of urban forestry, but could you elaborate, like, I guess, or my studies shows that there are a couple of trees there in the back shot, mature trees. Could you elaborate on that? How many trees are going to be removed or injured?
In this particular lot, there is no tree. In this particular lot, there is no tree. There are trees on the neighbors, right?
Are they going to be affected?
In the neighboring.
Yes. Are they going to be affected by this construction, or it's safe?
I'm going to get a report from arborist, and if there is any remedies that I have to take. I briefly done that with an arborist, and he said it seems to be they are a bit far. So, but I haven't done the detailed studies. So I will get the report and then submit to.
Thank you.
If there is any.
This application is subject to 2 conditions of urban forestry, condition number 2 and condition number 3.
Yeah.
I understand from what you're saying is that you're willing to consult with urban forestry over these trees, and you agreed with this condition. Is that correct?
You are right.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from members of the committee? Okay, are we ready to take this matter into committee for discussion? Okay. What is the wish of the committee?
Madam Chair, just a comment on that, on variance number two, variance number one, which Mr. Khan pointed out. The proposed floor area looked on to be high side, but it is very much matching to the, according to the character of the street. I think this is the only dwelling there, this unit which is old, very old built, and it's going to be, they are going to demolish it and to have a new building. And this plan shows that it's going to be according to the character of the street. So that is one of the points which justify a little bit higher side on the floor area.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Mr. Stinson?
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to say that I note Member Khan is correct about the additional square meter, but to the point Mr. Mohammed made, it meets the 4 test rule. I think it fits the applicant's request, and I do appreciate that he has said on the record that he will follow up with urban forestry and the other categories that were mentioned, like community planning and transportation services. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments, Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. As far as I'm concerned, I have 4 variances in front of me, and they are all deficient, not complying the zoning bylaws. When they are not complying the zoning bylaws on official plan, I don't think I'm in favor of all the recommendations made by the staff for conditional approval, but I don't agree with that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Khan. Do I have a motion from the members? Mr. Mohammed?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Looking at the broader perspective as well as the agreement to the conditions by the applicant, I think we are safe, and therefore put forward motion for approval of item 3, subject to condition of community planning, staff recommendations, transportation section conditions, as well as urban forestry condition number 2 and 3.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
Chair, I will second that.
Through the chair, just a point of clarification, is this as amended? This application as amended?
Yes.
You may wish to confirm that with Member Said.
Okay.
Thank you, Deputy Secretary. Yes, this will be an amended application, and this is added to my motion.
All right, all in favor of the motion for approval? I have 2 in favor. All opposed? 1 opposed. The motion is carried.
Through the chair, do you wish to vote?
I will vote in approval. The motion is carried. Thank you very much. We'll move on to item.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item 4 was deferred. So we'll now move to item 5, which is 3847 Lawrence Avenue East. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to item number 5, 3847 Lawrence Avenue East? Not seeing anyone. Is the agent online, madam? Yes, the agent is online. Thank you. This is.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, good morning, Madam Chair and the members of the committee. Here is Andrei Fabian for Susan Spiegel Architects on behalf of the client, which is Toronto Community Housing.
Thank you very much. I'll just introduce that the variance is, we have 4 variances here, and it's to, sorry, I'm at the wrong item. Item 5. Yes, Item 5 is Toronto Housing. It's to add 4 accessible underground parking spaces. There is 1 variance. And we have Transportation Services comments. They have no objections. And there are no trees affected according to urban forestry. Do I have any comments from the panel members? Mr. Said?
Through the chair, you may wish to ask the applicant if they wish to speak.
Thank you. Does the applicant wish to speak?
Thank you. No, I will just answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. I'm sorry I interrupted you there. I'm trying to learn how to do this properly. So we have the variances before us. The applicant has no further comments. Do I have any comments from the committees? Mr. Said.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mr. Fabian. Actually, you are doing a good job. I mean, although there is a reduction of the parking spaces there, but you are creating the accessible parking. Somewhere in your study, it is mentioned there that you have a consultation with the tenants. I just want to know what was the timing of that consultation, and is there any concerns from the tenants of that buildings?
You mean regarding the additional accessible parking spots and the
Exactly.
reduction?
Not only the creation of the accessible parking as well as reduction in the number of parking from 185, whatever the new accessible parkings are created, the other parkings are going to be reduced accordingly. So was there any concern from the tenants?
No, quite the opposite. We are just providing 4 new spots which are close to the entrance to the building in the underground space. So they were more than welcome to that we can create them.
And the total number of dwelling is 213. Is that confirmed?
Yes, that's correct. The existing kind of parking spaces, which are for dwelling units, the existing one is 189, and we are reducing it to 185.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions of the applicant? Do I have any other questions from the panel members? Any comments? What is the wish of the panel? Do I have a motion? Mr. Said?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate actually these development. It's a Toronto community housing building, and they are creating more number of parking spaces for accessible parking, which is a good thing. And I see in their study they are trying to meet the standards of the AODA standard, so that is appreciated. With that note, Madam Chair, I put forward motion for approval of item number 5, and there are no conditions to that.
Thank you.
I second the motion.
Thank you. Put forward, moved by Mr. Said, seconded by Mr. Han. All those in favor? The motion is carried. All those in favor. Thank you very much. That's item number 5 has been approved.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 6, which is 91 Scarborough Heights Boulevard. Yes. Mr. Secretary Treasurer.
Through the chair, this is an amended application. It's a request from the applicant to amend the wording of variance number 6 to indicate driveway width instead of length due to a staff error in the public hearing notice.
Okay. Is the applicant online? Oh, excellent. Please come down to the podium. I think I have forgotten it with the other applicants, but may we have your name and address?
Is this on? Hello? Yeah, my name is Rob McReiner. Or actually, good morning, Madam Chair and committee councilors. My name is Rob McReiner. I'm the owner, the resident, and the applicant, and will be the general contractor of my proposed addition to my bungalow. I'm a retired Toronto fire captain, and as stated on my application for the variance, I'm hoping to build a double-car garage and add 3 bedrooms to my bungalow for this large corner lot. The motivation for my build is that my 28-year-old son and his new wife cannot afford a new home in the GTA, and they would even have a difficult time making rent, which speaks to the state of the Toronto's current housing crisis, since my son is an engineer with his master's degree and his wife is a registered nurse. I believe this request aligns with the principles of the committee and the agenda of the mayor and will enhance both the aesthetics and functionality of the neighborhood. As submitted with my supporting documentation, my neighbors are very much in favor of this new addition. This design is in harmony with the existing architecture of my home and is consistent with the surrounding properties. The current bungalow has a legal basement apartment where my son and his wife were living. The proposed addition aims to add additional living space, improve accessibility, and aesthetically enhance the area. I believe the minor variance requests are reasonable based on the lot size, given the unique characteristics of my property and the positive contributions this will make to the overall community. I could ramble on further, but I don't think there's any objections, so if there's any concerns on behalf of council, I'll deal with those concerns or issues.
Thank you very much for that presentation. Community Planning has asked that this application be tied to the site plan as it has transportation planning. Are you in agreement with the?
I am. I'm aware of that, the reasoning behind that. There's no alterations to that. That will be exactly the way it stands.
Perfect. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak to this matter? No? What is the wishes of the committee? Any comments from the committee? No comments? Are we at a stage of preparing a motion? Do I have a motion? Mr. Sayed?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the applicant. Madam Chair, the variances before us, I believe they are minor. They are appropriate, and the applicant have already shown agreement to the condition of community planning and transportation, as well as there is a condition of urban forestry, condition number 1 and 2. With that conditions, I put forward motion for approval of item number 6.
Thank you. Do I have a
second
As
the motion.
amended.
Thank you. And that's seconded by Mr. Khan. So moved by Mr. Sayed, seconded by Mr. Khan to approve this application subject to the conditions as described. What is the wish of the committee? Do I have a motion for approval?
I think you already have the motion through the chair. Approve as amended, subject to community planning, transportation services, and urban forestry conditions. Member Said tabled the motion. Member Khan seconded it. So you just need to take it to vote now.
I'm waiting for a vote from all the members.
You need to ask them first.
All right. Do I have a motion? I have a motion for approval. All those in favor? Thank you. That matter is carried. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item number 6, which is, no, that was number 6, Scarborough Heights Boulevard that we've just done. So we're moving on to item 7, 44 Somerdale Square. This is to provide an addition over the existing garage, and we have one variance. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to this application? Not seeing anyone. Is the applicant online? Yes, the applicant is online. Thank you.
Madam Chair, committee members and supporting staff. My name is Pamela Pan. My address is 16 Rexford Road.
Thank you. Panel members, do you wish a presentation or shall we proceed to questions? We
No
don't wish
question,
a
ma'am.
presentation. Thank you, Madam, to the applicant. Do we have any questions from the panel members? Mr. Stinson?
Thank you, Chair. Applicant, what's the purpose for this change to the property?
Basically, the property owner would like to provide extra dwelling unit. And so basically that's the purpose.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? No, I noticed that we have letters of support on our agenda for this application, and we have a comment from Urban Forestry. Can I have a motion, please? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My motion is straightforward. It's a straightforward variance, and I move the approval of this application with forestry conditions.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
Chair, I second Member Khan.
Okay. So I have a move approval by Mr. Khan, seconded by Mr. Stinson. All those in favor? That motion is carried. Your application has been approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're now moving on to item number 8, 2992 Shepherd Avenue East. Sorry. Is the number 8, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to this item, 2992 Shepherd Avenue East? Not seeing anyone. Is the applicant online? The applicant is online.
And committee members. My name is Claire Ricker, and I'm a senior planner with Bosefields, Inc. We're located at 3 Church Street 200, Suite 200 in Toronto, and we're the agent representing the applicant today.
Thank you. Is there any questions to the applicant from the committee members? No? Yes.
Madam Chair, may I suggest to have a presentation from the applicant for this development?
Thank you. To the applicant, may we have a brief presentation? You have 5 minutes.
Through the chair, just give us one moment while we put we share the presentation and put it on the screen.
Thank you.
It's up.
Oh, thank you, committee. So good morning. As I said, we are the planning consultants to the owner of the property, NF95 Developments, with respect to the property known as 2992 Shepherd Avenue East. Today, we're seeking approval of 3 variances to site-specific bylaw 45/2011, which is an amendment to the former City of Scarborough Community Zoning Bylaw 12466. So the variances before the committee today relate to the parking standards applicable to the approved 15-story development on the subject site. No changes are being contemplated to the approved building envelope. I would just like to let the committee know this morning that our office filed a planning justification letter, as well as a letter of support prepared by our transportation consultant, Lee Consulting. Our materials were filed a few minutes after last week's deadline, and unfortunately, the committee did not receive these materials in their package. In light of this, our letters have been available on the Application Information Center portal since November 9th, and I still intend on making a deputation this morning. So as you can see on the screen here, the subject site is currently vacant and is located at the northeast corner of Shepherd Avenue East and Pharmacy Avenue. The site is surrounded by existing residential and commercial uses, including recently constructed tall buildings. With respect to transit, the subject site is served by several surface transit route uses, and Metrolinx is currently consulting with the community regarding the extension of rapid transit along Sheppard Avenue. The corridor has been previously studied for an LRT line that will extend between Don Mills and Morningside Avenue. So next slide, please, if possible. So the subject site currently has an approval for a 15-story residential building with at-grade retail. As you can see on the slide here, the initial rezoning application was approved in August 2010, and subsequent minor variance applications were approved in September 2013 and June 2014. And more recently, a site plan approval application was filed at the end of July and is currently under review by city staff. Next slide, please. So the three variances before the committee seek to amend the site-specific parking standards applicable to the subject site and align those set out in Citywide Bylaw 569/2013 as amended by Bylaw 89/2022. As the committee is aware, this bylaw introduced new citywide parking standards that, among other amendments, removed most parking minimums except for the residential visitor requirements. Parking zones were introduced to separate parking requirements from the existing policy areas. So with that, as you can see on the screen here, the variances that we are seeking are consistent with the parking standards set out in Bylaw 569/2013. It is our opinion that the requested variances individually and cumulatively satisfy the four tests set out in Section 45(1) of the Planning Act. As mentioned, the approved variances will not result in any changes to the approved 15-story mixed-use building. The development will continue to optimize its location on Sheppard Avenue, a corridor well served by existing and potential future transit infrastructure. The reduction in the parking supply on the subject site is in keeping with the policy direction of the official plan, which seeks to reduce the reliance of the automobile and encourage the use of public transit and modes of active transportation. The proposed parking rates are in keeping with the city's current.
Madam, can you wrap it up, please?
Sure. Just want to sort of conclude by.
Through the chair, there's actually 1 minute, over 1 minute left in the presentation.
I'm sorry. I'm reading that clock wrong. I apologize to the applicant. Go ahead.
No problem. Thank you, Chair. We just wanted to conclude by saying the variances are consistent with the enforced parking rates and are keeping with the city's currently policy direction for parking in new developments. It's our opinion that the variances are desirable and should be considered minor. So lastly, I understand that both Transportation Services and Metrolinx have provided comments through written submission and have indicated that there are no concerns with the application before the committee. Urban Forestry has also provided their comments and conditions for approval. We have had an opportunity to review the conditions set out by both Transportation Services and Urban Forestry and have no objections to their conditions. On this basis, it is my opinion that the requested variances satisfy the four tests and is recommended that they be approved by the committee. That concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the applicant? Mr. Stinson.
I just want to comment on a fantastic presentation, and also thank you for explaining that this fits with the city's vision and plan right now for the creation of a city along the major corridors that is facilitated by buildings and construction like this and the renovations. So thank you.
Mr. Said.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the applicant for their presentation. I have a few questions or maybe a few clarifications needed into that. So while looking at the variances before the committee today, and I will request the attention of the applicant on variance number 1. Now, variance number 1 to me is quite like a little bit complex in a way that it will need a lot of time to make the calculations to reach the exact number of the parking required. That's why may I ask the applicant that instead of talking to the parking rate, let's elaborate on the number of the parking spots over here, and you can help us to understand more precisely that this is a 15-story building with 158 dwellings units there. And your recommendation is that there should be zero parking for visitors, for residents, and for retails. Could you elaborate on that?
To the applicant, I believe we have pulled up the slide number 5, which shows the parking rates, and that provides some assistance to us. But can you provide some further assistance, as Mr. Sayed has asked?
Absolutely. Through you, Mr. Chair, thank you for the question. So, yeah, this table on the screen is great. So the variances that we're seeking are to be consistent with set out in the citywide bylaw, which have a scale of minimum and maximum. So they introduce a maximum number of parking spaces that should be provided on the subject site. So notwithstanding the fact that we are permitted to have 0 residential parking spots, we are going to be providing 69, which is within the threshold provided and permitted by the requested variance. And then as it relates to visitor parking, one of the changes that bylaw 89/2022 did not make is that there's still a requirement for visitor parking spaces in new developments. So a minimum of 9 spaces are required for this development based on the number of units, and we intend on providing those 9 spaces.
To the applicant, I'm a little bit confused. What I see is that you are, I'm just looking at this chart. How many spaces are you providing for the residences?
69 parking spaces.
Okay, that isn't shown on this chart. It's shown on the bottom, and 9 visitor spaces and no spaces for the retail. That's correct?
No spaces, correct.
Okay. And as I understand, those are the numbers that are in accordance with the recently approved parking standards for the City of Toronto, finally approved in October of 2022. And is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. The variances are consistent with what's currently set out in the citywide bylaw today.
Okay. Mr. Sayed, do you have any further questions?
It's okay. I was looking at a different, this one is table number. On the transportation study, I was referring to table number 3. And that is according to the latest bylaw amendments, which is bylaw 89-2022. Is this 69 number of parking spots are provided under this bylaw?
So through you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Chair. So the spaces that are being provided are within the range of what's permitted by the standards set out in 569 as amended by 89/2022. So for residents, because the parking rates are now based on the unit type, this site is permitted a range of 0 to 134 parking spaces based on these new standards. Our intention for this development is to provide 69 spaces. So that's within that range. So we're not looking to provide 0 parking spaces.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I think this clarifies it a little when we're looking at these parking standards and the new City of Toronto parking bylaw, which provided for minimums and maximums. Mr. Khan, you had a question? No, you're satisfied? Mr. Stinson, do you have any questions? Satisfied? All right. Do you have anything further, Mr. Saeed?
I'm okay with that, Madam
You're
Chair.
okay?
Thank you so much.
Okay. So, members, are we okay to take this matter into committee? Do I have a motion? Mr.
Chair, I move that we approve the application for item 8.
Okay.
Through the chair, there are conditions.
That would be subject to conditions from transportation standards? What's TS?
Transportation services.
Transportation services.
Through the chair, transportation services, urban forestry are the two divisions who have comments.
Okay. So
Or conditions.
Transportation services, TS equals transportation services. Our crib notes are not always as helpful as what I would like, but that's good. So this motion for approval by Mr. Stinson is subject to transportation services comments and urban forestry conditions.
Through the chair, Member Stinson will need to provide that motion. He needs to confirm he's okay with the wording of that motion since he tabled it.
Thank you, Deputy Treasurer. I will amend as stated, and I thank you for your patience.
Thank you. As we have said, this is a new committee. We are learning, and we're also learning that we can't just nod. We have to give a verbal comment here. So do I have a second on this? Mr. Han?
Seconded.
Thank you. So moved by Mr. Stinson, seconded by Mr. Han, subject to conditions.
Forestry conditions. Yes.
Transportation services and urban forestry conditions. All those in favor? All those opposed? I have 2 in favor, 1 opposed. That motion.
Through the chair, are you voting on this?
I'll vote in favor. So that motion carries 3-1. Subject to conditions. Thank you very much. Moving on.
Thank you, committee.
Moving on to item number 9, 50 EMMELINE Crescent. Is there anyone in the audience? Good. Would you please come down to the podium and we'll proceed.
Through the chair, you may wish to introduce the application and allow the applicant to speak first.
Thank you. This is item number 9, 50 EMMELINE Crescent. It's to construct a 2-story rear addition with a rear deck and detached garage. And there are 1 variance with this application. Is the applicant online? The applicant is online.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Do you wish to make a presentation to the applicant?
To be honest, no need to, because it's very clear, crystal clear for the zoning notice for the length of the house for this addition project. So to save the time, I'm going to jump it. So I can see there is a concern letter from number 52. So just briefly speaking, that number 1, these trees are all in the lot of number 52. The owner of 50 will not enter the lot of 52. Also, the owner will not damage the fence. And secondly, the tree is 30 centimeter diameter as per the owner of this, as per the description of number 52. So based on the tree protection policy, it is required to have a 1.8 meters distance. So the owner will check the tree and build a wood fence to protect those trees. As per the survey, the existing driveway is 2.6 meter wide, so it's good enough to build this tree protection. And also the last point is if there is any damage caused by the owner of 52, he will take fully responsibility. And thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we hear from the participant?
Yes.
Through the chair, you may wish to ask if the members have any questions of the applicant.
I'm going to ask that the participants speak, and then we'll come back to the applicant and any further questions for the applicant.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, Madam Chair and committee members. My name is Deborah Gilmore, and I'm the owner and resident of 50 EMMELINE Crescent. Did you do that? Okay, thanks. I'm here today because I have 3 very large trees that are along the fence line, and I had a tree service come in because there's branches overhanging 50, and when he looked at the trees, he said he couldn't touch them because they were greater than 30 centimeters in width. He then referred me to an arborist because I was very concerned about the one tree in particular, that if it becomes destabilized from the construction, that it's going to fall down on my house. I spoke to the arborist. The arborist said he couldn't give me a report. Well, he could give me a report, but the City of Toronto would not give me a permit to remove the tree for construction purposes. So I'm kind of in this weird situation where I can't mitigate this situation, but I'm frightened that the work on the property next to me, including the compaction of the soil and they're extending the driveway all the way down to the end of the lot. Then they're constructing a garage which has a 1-foot excavation. And then on the other side of the driveway, they're doing an excavation and putting in a 2-story addition to the house. All of these can impact the roots of the 3 trees. And I just here to request a tree protection plan for my 3 trees.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it should be covered by the private tree bylaw, Article 3, Chapter 813 of the City of Toronto Municipal Code. My trees are within 6 feet of the site disturbance and are greater than 30 centimeters in width or in diameter.
All right, so as I understand it, your concern is the health and safety, I guess, of the trees on your property.
Yes.
As impacted by this development.
Yes. Yeah.
To the applicant, you had mentioned that. Would you please repeat and perhaps add what you're going to do about these trees and how you're going to be able to proceed so that her trees are not disturbed? To the
Sure, of course, completely. Yeah, sure. Generally, as those trees are from the photos are all inside of the lot of number 52.
Yeah.
So there is no reason for the owner of 50 get entered to the lot of 52, right? So and also we're gonna build a fence, a wood fence, to protect the tree with the required diameter length surrounding the tree. And so there would be no damage of the trees, absolutely no damage. It would be no damage. And if there is any damage, the owner of 50 will take fully responsibility of it. But the required distance will strictly follow with the requirement of the tree protection policy from City of Toronto.
May I add something?
Yep, that's all.
Yeah, can I add something? Because the types of tree damage are as stated in the, in the Toronto Parks, Forestry and Recreation Urban Forestry publication of specifications of construction near trees, July 2016. There's 3 types of damage: the physical injury to the trunk and the crown and the roots of the tree, root cutting, which the majority of the roots are within the top 30 to 60 centimeters of soil. So excavation can destabilize these roots, and the compaction of soil in the root zone, which occurs primarily from vehicles and equipment moving across root zones, piling or storage of materials or debris on top of the root system. And without space available for oxygen and water, tree roots will suffocate and tree decline will follow. Which, if you're putting in this driveway all the way along the line of the fence, they're going to be compacting.
I understand your concerns.
Yeah.
This application was circulated to Urban Forestry.
Okay.
They did not ask for any conditions. So this matter actually becomes a matter between you and your neighbor. You have heard from the applicant that says that he's has given verbal assurance
Right.
that he'll be able to build without any damage to your trees. Unfortunately, there's nothing further that we can do to assist.
Okay, I understand. Thank you so much.
Okay. We do have a condition that on this application, the community planning, a condition that they build in accordance with the site plan shown. As I said, there's no forestry conditions, and Metrolinx has a warning clause as a condition.
Through the chair, it's just an advisory comment. It's not a condition.
Okay. Advisory comment? Thank you. Do I have any comments from the members? Do I have a motion?
Chair, I have a question for the applicant. Are they still online?
Yes, sir. Is the applicant still available?
Yes, please. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I just want clarification. Thank you. I think you used the comment total responsibility regarding the trees if there's a problem. What does that mean? Thank you.
First of all, we're not gonna damage the tree. We're not gonna enter the lot of number 52. But if there is any kinds of damage of the tree, I believe it would be something like cutting part of the branch of the tree, because as per the photo showing that the branch, especially in the lower area, there are some branch which reach to the across the lot of number 50. So maybe there may be some cutting or damage by the branch of those trees. But even if they do it, before they do it, they would like to discuss with the owner of 52. If it is not allowable, they're not gonna touch anything. Keep everything the same as before. And the worst scenario is if there is any damage of it, the responsibility means that like the reimbursement by cash or plant more trees as per the requirement of by the City of Toronto.
Okay, thank you. As I had said, there is no conditions that we can add to this application. Urban Forestry hasn't. But the discussion that has been heard today is on the video, which will be kept for 45,000 years or something or other, at least 2 or 3, so that this is an opportunity for you to get back to the applicant and the builder and remind him of his commitments. Thank you.
I will. Thank you.
Okay. Do I have Mr. Said?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a comment on that. I really appreciate the gestures from the applicant. He's extending his full cooperation to the neighbors, and that's the beauty of the neighborhood. They have good understanding, and they are willing to cooperate, to communicate, and to mitigate if there is any issue on that. With that, Madam Chair, if it is okay, I can move a motion for this variance application. Madam Chair, there is only one variance before us, and that is minor in nature. I therefore put forward motion for approval of item number 9, subject to community planning staff report recommendation.
Thank you.
I will second the motion of Mr. Mohammed.
Thank you.
But at the same time, he has to attach with the approval the Metro Links advisory note of their letter October 11, 23.
That's a warning clause that is attached, but it isn't a condition that we attach.
Would you?
It's an
I believe
advisory
that's not the condition. Maybe Mr. Collin can elaborate on
advisory
that.
note.
If it
It's
is.
an advisory note. Do you wish to comment?
Through the chair, member Said is correct. It's just an advisory comment, which does not need to be imposed as a condition.
I will second the motion.
Okay, thank you. So, moved by Mr. Said, seconded by Mr. Khan, and subject to the community planning condition. All those in approval? Thank you. That matter has been heard. Thank you very much. We move on to item number 10, which is 15 Burrett Street. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to item number 10, 15 Burrett Street? Thank you. Would you come down to the podium, please? Is the applicant online? Thank you very much. Okay.
Madam Chair and committee panel, my name is Nushin Mozaffari from Untitled Studio, representing my client, owner of 15 BOULEVARD.
Okay, thank you. This is 15 Burrett Street. It's to demolish the existing dwelling and to construct a new 2-story dwelling. There are 7 variances involved, and the applicant is online. Do you wish to make a presentation?
Yes, Madam Chair, if I want to give you a brief presentation, this is a very straightforward application. We are not asking for any setback variance. The variance number 1 for the length, it's for a portion of the building at the rear. The rest of the building mass is at 17-meter length, and only the half of the width for the breakfast area is projecting, and this is just for half of the width at the rear. The lot coverage, we are asking for 36.84 instead of 33% allowed lot coverage, and the height and wall height are slightly over than allowed. The wall height is only 10 inches higher to be able to fit, to have a clear height for the windows on the side. Variance number 5 is for the platforms at the rear. We are proposing a rear deck like any other single family dwelling, and a small balcony for the master bedroom. And since the house is considered as 3-story based on the new definition of the first floor and basement, the proposed rear deck is considered as a balcony, and that's why its area is considered as a variance number 7. And the actual balcony on the 2nd floor, which is now considered as 3rd floor, is less than 4 square meter, and the other variance, the last one is for the window projection on the east side. The width of this projection is 38% instead of 30% of the wall. And this number is calculated based on the wall facing the east side. If you divide this, the width of the bay window to the actual building length, the width of the bay window is 34.5%, not 38. That's it. I think this is a very straightforward application, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Before we hear from the person in the audience, does the committee have any questions of the applicant, or do you wish to hear from the gentleman first? Okay. Sir, would you please give us your name and address, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee. My name is Barton Graff. I live at 14 Burritt Road.
Is your thing on? Mic on?
Well, it says it's on. Yep, it's
Okay,
on.
thank you. Can you give me your name again?
Okay, Barton Graff. I'm at 14 Burritt, across the street from the house that's being demolished. Been there for 30 years. I've spoken to my neighbors. They asked me questions. I have no answers. So I came here because we're all concerned about building this new house. I look at the variances. When I rebuilt my house a few years ago and my neighbors did theirs, none of us asked for variances. We just fitted into whatever the laws were. And these people are asking for 7 variances, which increase the length by 8% over the maximum, and almost 12% in lot area. It's just percent on percent on percent. The houses in the neighborhood are story and a halves and bungalows that are 1,000 square feet. There's 5 of them on this very short street, 4 or 5, that have been renovated to almost 2,000 square feet. Unless my math is incorrect, this house is going to be 3,600 square feet. It's going to be a great big box. They want to make it taller than all the buildings around it. It's going to be story and a halves on either side of it. It's going to infringe on the driveway on the east side with the bay window. The porch on the back, the balcony, they want to increase by almost 500%, from 4 meters to 18 meters. It's just not going to fit. It's going to be like somebody put a big box store right beside your little Becker's. You know, it's going to change the way the whole neighborhood looks. I'm sorry, it's just a monstrosity. And the aesthetics of the whole neighborhood. When I renovated my house, I left the front on it, put a steel roof and solar panels and a green driveway because I believe in the environment. I have a Master of Environmental Science. This house is going to increase the hardening of the surface substantially. And keep being told we're not supposed to do that. So a lot of us do not like the idea. It's a nice little neighborhood, nice little houses. People in that house could easily have raised 3 or 4 kids. 3,600 square feet, surrounded by 1,000 and 2,000 square foot houses is too much.
All right, thank you very much for your comments.
Well, thank you for your time.
To the applicant, how do you address those comments?
As you see on the site plan and on the application, we are not asking for any setback variance. We are in compliance with the front side setback, rear setback. The height of the building is slightly over than allowed, and we are basically within the allowed building envelope that the bylaw allows. Only the rear projection for half of the width is a variance for the length, and the variance for the lot coverage, it's just a number that doesn't directly affect anyone. If you consider the building mass of the proposal, we are within the allowed building envelope, and I believe this application is very modest. For the rear deck, as I mentioned, since the definition of the bylaw has changed and our basement is basically considered as the first floor, the rear deck, which is similar to any other application, is considered as a balcony. And if it was located at the first floor, it wouldn't be a variance because there is no limitation for the area of the deck. But here, since it's considered as a balcony, its area is a variance. But
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair, or sorry, thank you to the applicant. I believe the concerns that were expressed really deal with the overall size of the house being the building mass, the building length, and the building height. Can you, do you have any comments about those three items in particular?
there are other approved cases in the neighborhood with the similar request for the building height. As you see, the building height of this application is limited to 9 meters, where other areas in the Toronto usually allow 10 meters of height, and what we are asking is half a meter higher than this to the peak of the roof, and the wall height is only 10 inches higher. For the building length, as I mentioned, it's for less than half of the width, and it's like a bump out at the rear, and the rest of the building is basically within 17 meter allowed length. And I don't think this variance for the length really affects the neighbor at the across the street. And in overall, the size of the building is within the allowed building envelope.
Okay, thank you. Do I have any questions from other members of the committee? Mr. Khan.
Thank you, madam. My only question is the east side elevation windows on the second story. Would you kindly consider, through you, Chair, I'm asking, the privacy is my concern. Has the privacy has been taken into consideration for windows at the second story on the east elevation?
This would be item number 6. Is that the issue that we're dealing with?
Yeah.
Okay, to the applicant.
Yes, if you look at the site plan, please, you can see that the this proposed bay window is basically after the portion that the site adjacent neighbor is located. So the bay window proposed at the corner of the window projection is not it doesn't have any view to the house on the side, but still we are okay to have frosted glass to make sure that any privacy concern is satisfied.
Could I request, Madam Chair, the elevation should be projected here, east side elevation. Thank you. Yeah, the second story, this is a window that I have in question.
Yes, and I believe you have said that you are willing to have that as frosted glass. Is that what I heard?
Yes.
Any further questions?
Yes.
Thank you.
We can have tinted or frosted glass for the window to address the privacy concerns. Although, as I mentioned, and if you look at the site plan, the window projection is located past the neighboring house. There, yeah, the window projection, as you see, and the window is at the rear corner of this projection. So it doesn't look into the neighbor's building, but we are okay to have tinted glass or frosted glass.
Okay, any other comments from members of the panel? Yes, Mr. Stinson?
I'd like to, thank you, Chair. I'd like to direct this question to the Speaker. With respect to this application, the houses around this premise, are any of them second-story homes?
Yes. There's, right beside it and that house itself are story and a half, right? So the bedrooms are in the roof line. And as I said, there's 4 or 5 of the houses in the neighborhood have been raised to a second story. Mine was taken from a story and a half to a full 2-story. But again, we didn't get any variances.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
May I ask a question? I still had 2 minutes left.
Are we going to allow this question? Yes, we'll go ahead and allow the question.
Not so much a question.
Through the chair, for future, once the question and answer period is done with each speaker, you can't go back.
Okay, then I'll abide by that.
Okay, thank you. All right. Committee members, I have heard the applicant and I've heard the neighbor, and I think the concern is both the size of the house and what will fit into this neighborhood, which is different from what the community has been expecting. But there are changes in the community. We spoke particularly about the east side of this building. So I would like the committee to consider whether this application should be subject to approval with the site plan and the building elevations. So that approval would be subject to a wording for that the application be approved
with forestry conditions.
To the conditions. I believe the staff are just bringing that up. That you build in accordance with the site plan and building elevations as shown on our application, I believe is the wording that we have used in the past. Mr. Rando, did you wish to speak?
No, so if I'm understanding your question, your statement is that you would like to tie the approval to the site plan and elevation plans currently before the committee along, that's it.
Yeah.
Correct?
And at this point, I'm just asking the committee members whether they would like to consider that. I'm not putting it forth as a motion. If you would consider it, I would like someone else to put forth it as a motion. That way I don't have to be in the position of moving the chair.
So I will, Chair, consider it, thank you. And looking at the other members, and I will say that I think I will put forth a motion to you to approve this with it being conditions tied to the site plan and the elevation plan.
And forestry conditions.
And
Yes, and there's urban forestry conditions.
the forestry conditions.
Yes.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, Moved by Mr. Stinson, seconded by Mr. Khan. We move approval of this application, subject to the condition of site plan and building.
Through the chair, I just want to confirm, is that all elevation drawings?
Pardon?
Is it all elevation, through the chair, is it all elevation drawings or just that elevation drawing, the east elevation drawing that Member Khan had indicated?
I think my intent was it all.
Through the chair, I want to, it's probably best to confirm with the person who
Yep.
put the motion in, the member.
Thank you, Deputy Treasurer. I will amend and say for all the elevation plans.
Okay. And Mr. Khan?
Seconded,
Going
second.
to second that. All those in favor? I have 2 in favor. All those opposed? Okay, 1 opposed. I
Through the
would be
okay.
in favor with the condition. And that motion is approved. Okay, moving on to item number 11, which is 577 Rouge Hills Drive. Do we have anyone in the audience? Not seeing anyone in the audience. Is the applicant online? Thank you. So, for,
Morning.
good morning, just give me a second. This is for 577 Rouge Hills Drive. It's to construct a second-story addition to the existing dwelling, and there is 3 variances. There is conditions, community planning asks that the application be tied to the site plan. TRCA has no objections, and someone else, forestry?
No.
Yes.
RNFP has no conditions. RNFP? I don't know what that stands for.
Ravine, urban forestry ravine and natural area.
Thank you. Okay, they have no conditions. Okay, and there are 3 letters of support. Committee members, do you wish a presentation? No? Applicant, is there anything further that you wish to say?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee members. No, in view of the fact that I don't believe there are any objections to this and the application, I believe meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act under Section 45, that I have nothing further to say. I'll be here to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, committee members? No? Are we ready for a motion?
Through the chair, you may wish to announce if you are bringing it into, if you do want to vote or a motion, before doing so, indicate that you will be bringing the, can you bring the application into committee?
Okay. Committee members, can I bring the application into committee? Are we at a position that we're ready to make a motion on this application? Mr. Sayed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe the 3 variances before the committee, they are minor in nature, appropriate, Madam Chair. Therefore, I put forward motion for approval of item number 11, subject to community planning staff report recommendations.
Second the motion.
Mr. Khan, moved by Mr. Sayed, seconded by Mr. Khan, subject to urban, to tie to the site plan. All those in favor? Thank you. Sir, your application has been approved.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members.
Application number 12 is for 3268 Finch Avenue. Again, anyone in the audience to speak to item number 12? 3268 Finch Avenue? Is the applicant online?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm here.
All right. Just give me a second here. My mouse wants to move all over the place and not to where I want it to move, which is why I'm... There we are. I've got your application in front of me. Thank you for your patience. Okay, this is a proposed 13-story residential building. The site plan application is currently under review, and there are a number of variances. 7 variances. Variance number 8, which is part of the notice, has been eliminated. Is that correct to the applicant?
That is correct, Madam Chair.
Okay. Members of the committee, do you wish to have a presentation on this? Committee members, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I would like to confirm from the applicant the amendments that she has made to variance number 2 and 3, that what they are.
Okay, the variances 2 and 3 is dealing with the height. If the applicant could confirm what height you are looking for?
Yes, ma'am. 2 and 3.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, the requested variance was asked of 43, but as per the staff comments and the staff report, they are recommending a maximum height of 42.5 in both instances, and we are in agreement with that.
Okay, thank you. So we will amend the variance number 2, variance number 3 and number 2 and 3 to read a maximum height of 42.5 meters.
Correct.
Okay. The only other condition I have is urban forestry. Transportation are asking for submit a plan. Staff, can you explain this comment a bit?
Through the chair, Transportation Services is recommending conditions to provide accessible parking spaces on the site plan, compliance with the Toronto Green Standard Tier 1 requirements, submitting a transportation demand management plan, and that, or sorry, travel demand management plan, and that the TDM measures are implemented.
Okay, thank you. And I understand that's all been put forth in a supplementary agenda that we received.
Correct. So you've got comments from community planning, transportation services, and urban forestry. The community planning conditions are, the applicant has already advised that they're modifying they're in support of revising their application for variances 2 and 3.
Yes.
So there are no community planning conditions that need to be imposed should the committee approve it. It would be just subject to approve as amended, subject to transportation services and urban forestry services conditions.
Okay. Do I have any comments from the committee? Do I have a motion? There are a number of variances here. It does take us a few minutes to read them all. but we have a site plan control application currently under review for this property, so we're aware that planning staff have been reviewing this, and their comment is only to deal with the building height to 42.5 meters, and the applicant has agreed with that. So, do I have a motion? Mr. Said?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I can move the motion in favor of this application, Madam Chair, for approval, subject to conditions from community planning, transportation, as well as urban forestry condition number 1 and condition number 2, and the application is approved as amended.
Through the chair, the community planning does not have any conditions.
Okay, so we can delete the conditions from community planning because in actual fact it was a comment and the applicant has agreed to the revision to a maximum height of 42.5 meters.
So, Madam Chair, can we put this in our decision that the height will be 42.5 meters?
Through the chair, yes, the applicant has modified their application. It will be reflected in the decision and in the minutes.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you.
thank you. So, Mr. Sayed, are you prepared to move this application?
Yeah, the motions remained almost same with the conditions of transportation, urban forestry condition number 1 and 2, and this is the amended application.
Okay, do I have a seconder?
Chair, I will second that.
Okay, thank you. Approval from Mr. Mohammed. A move by Mr. Mohammed, seconded by Mr. Stinson for approval as stated. All those in favor? The motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to item 13,
Is deferred.
which is an application has been deferred. Thank you. So we move on to item 14, which is 2375 Brimley Road. I believe we have a gentleman in the audience who wishes to speak to this. Do you wish to speak to this, or are you the applicant, sir?
I'm here on behalf of the applicant. I'm the planning agent, Madam Chair.
Okay, may I have your name, please?
It's Jim Katsopoulos, 27 Field Flower Crescent, Richmond Hill.
Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak on this matter? Okay, would you come to the just sit down beside the podium here?
Both of these gentlemen, Madam Chair, will be speaking in addition to myself.
And both those gentlemen are with the applicant?
Yes, yes, they are.
Okay, so I have the applicant. And I'm going to ask for the names of the second two people at the moment, please. Just your name.
Madam Chair, my name is Martin Skolnick, and I'm the president of the Toronto East Masonic Centre.
Okay. And?
My name is Bob Stevenson. I'm the vice president of the Toronto East Masonic Centre.
Okay. And all three of you wish to speak, correct?
That's correct.
Through the chair, just a point of clarification, a reminder that each speaker is given 5 minutes to speak. However, during the rebuttal, there's a total of 5 minutes rebuttal that can be split between all three people. The members the speakers need to figure that out, whether it's the applicant who speaks or all of them. But it's a 5 minute total for rebuttal.
Okay, so as explained, each of you have 5 minutes to speak.
Right.
We can ask questions. And if there's Are there any other speakers listed for this matter?
Through the chair, we also have their architect online.
There are how many?
Through the chair, we have the applicant's architect online.
Oh, okay. So we have the architect as well. We have no one in opposition to this application? Okay. So we have the agent, 2 speakers, and the architect online. And he too would have 5 minutes, but as part of that proposal, you would only have 1 opportunity for rebuttal.
Thank you.
Okay. To the applicant, have you read the report of community planning?
Madam Chair, we have, and we've also had discussions with the author of that report.
Okay. I think maybe to shorten this whole thing up, would you like to tell us where you stand with that discussion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon. Again, I'm the planning agent on behalf of the applicant. Madam Chair, we've also had extensive discussions with the local councillor, and I believe in front of you, you do have correspondence from the councillor to this effect. Madam Chair, we appreciate the importance of employment areas that are intended to give rise to employment and economic opportunities. The lands in question, being 2375 Brimley Road, represent a peripheral retail commercial node that accommodates a variety of retail, office, service-oriented uses. For instance, Global Pet Foods, a hair salon, a Kumon Learning Center, dry cleaners, and a number of fast food restaurants. As such, Madam Chair, in our humble opinion, these lands, although designated general employment as planning has identified, they're not representative of the more traditional core employment uses generally characterized by manufacturing, warehousing, and alike industrial uses that are located to the south and east of the subject lands along Commander Boulevard and along the south side of Huntingwood Drive. Among others, the current zoning, Madam Chair, on these lands permits agencies and studios, service shops, a gym fitness center facility, and through a previously approved variance, a Kumon Tutoring Learning Center, which in our opinion, Madam Chair, the proposed club use in this instance is generally congruent, compliant to these identified as of right uses. The applicant in this instance, Madam Chair, will occupy the second level office of the commercial building. And Bob and Martin will further elaborate on the actual business operation. The lease space will largely comprise 3 meeting rooms, a washroom, storage. And just as importantly, Madam Chair, the proposed club use on the second floor will in no way negatively impact any parking requirements or necessitate in any exterior changes to the existing building footprint or elevations. Planning staff, Madam Chair, has asked about the contribution this proposed club use would have to employment lands. As you will shortly hear from Bob and Martin, this proposal will employ staff to manage and maintain the facility. So there's your employment generator use. Also, the members, in all likelihood, will positively contribute to the economic vitality of this existing commercial plaza by leasing out a current vacant office space and economically supporting other businesses within the Chartwell Shopping Plaza. The applicant will rearrange a portion of the leased office to conventional meeting rooms, just like any other traditional office space, which is obviously a permitted use on these lands. So in summary, Madam Chair, in our opinion, the potential user will contribute to the enhancement of and economic vitality of the Chartwell Plaza as a whole. It will make good use of a vacant space located on the periphery of a designated employment area, which serves as a buffer to the nearby core employment uses to the south and east. It will support other uses within the retail commercial node, and it will not adversely impact the existing users of the site, which are service commercial oriented. For those reasons, Madam Chair, we're of the opinion that there is merit in allowing this proposed club use. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any questions of, yes, Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you. My question is that opposite this particular place, this plaza, is a residential area. So I would like to have, I would like to listen that this particular club is musical, religious, political, what kind of activities you will have, because you are saying it's a small scale activities on your application and it's quite a large area. So what is the relationship having a club, and are you also aware that there is a residential area in front of your particular space?
Perhaps I'm best to answer
Through-
those questions.
Yes.
Through you,
if
through
you
you,
would
Madam
like to-
Chair. Thank you for the questions, Member Khan. And actually, I was just going to hand it over to Martin to precisely address exactly what you just asked, if you so allow us.
Okay, before we do that, do we have any other questions of the first applicant? No? Okay, go ahead, sir.
Thank you.
Would you give me your name and address?
Yeah. Can I just put something correct in my mind before we start? Both him and I share 5 minutes. Is that right?
No, each of you get 5 minutes.
Oh, good.
But you
Thank
can't, all three of you, and perhaps the architect, if he's going to speak, have to share in the 5-minute rebuttal.
Yeah.
So you take 5 minutes, divide by 3 or 4, and
Super.
or
I don't think
hopefully
I'll
only
take
one of
5
you
minutes anyway.
rebuts.
So.
Okay.
Madam Chair, committee members, support staff, I want to thank you for allowing me to address you and give you a little information about what we do and what we would do on that site. These premises will operate as a club for the Toronto Masonic Centre, where Masonic lodges and other Masonic bodies will meet and gather. At this point, I think it's important to point out the nature of these organizations. Freemasonry isn't a secret society. It's nothing to do with, all the secret stuff that everybody sort of thinks what happens in Freemasonry. None of that happens. Dan Brown stuff, none of that's true. All right? So Freemasonry isn't a secret society of middle-aged white men. In fact, it's a multiracial, multi-faith organization. Our members range from 12 years to 100 years of age, and Masonry welcomes both men and women into its ranks. The only other thing you have to believe in a supreme being. It doesn't matter if it's a Christian God, a Muslim God, a Hindu God, a Jewish God. You just have to believe in a supreme being, and you have to be a good person. And you can't have a criminal record, and you can't have done anything bad in your life. You may be asking yourselves what we do. Well, our major function is to make our members better citizens, help them develop confidence, and overall be a positive force in their community. And I think you mentioned the community around. We have members in that community. There are Masonic members in that community that surrounds the 2375. Freemasonry isn't a service club like the Rotary or the Lions, but we are a major donor to charities in the province and the country. Most of this activity comes through the Masonic Foundation, and I implore you to look it up on the internet if you've got time. You'll see a full listing of what we do. Each of those bodies that will meet at 2375 are involved in fundraising in support of that foundation and district charities. Now, I'll give you some examples of what we've done recently. Feed Ontario, a network of serving 130 food banks in every corner of Ontario. Sick Kids Hospital, this year the Toronto East District donated, that's just our little district, the group that's really applying for this variance, donated $33,000 to them. I've been to a previous meeting with Sick Kids where we donated $100,000 towards their cochlear implant program for deaf children. And as an aside, Sick Kids was founded by the Freemasons of Ontario. In fact, John Ross Robinson was the founder of Sick Children's. In doubt, we do a bursary funds, community colleges. Beginning in 2013, the Masonic Foundation of Ontario began a 10-year program to establish endowed bursaries in each of the 26 colleges and communities in Ontario. And so far, we've sent $100,000 through that. Medical research, prostate cancer research, autism services. Giant Steps is a school for autistic children. Shriners Hospitals, you've all seen the ads where the little kids come on and offer you a free teddy bear and a blanket. Well, all the Shriners are Masons, and now money goes towards that program. Masonic Chip Foundation, we have a program that we do with the police where we take DNA samples from children and they're banked in case they get lost or, you know, something like that, they go missing. We do that. And we will do that in the area around 2375. Youth organizations where you support the Scouts Canada, Girl Guides, EMMELINE, the International Order of Rainbow Girls and 4-H
Sir,
Ontario.
can we kind of wrap this up?
Yeah,
We've got
yeah.
30 seconds
So,
left.
just quickly, we're not seeking a decrease in taxes, but are willing to pay at the full commercial rate. We will be employing 2 persons, a custodian and office manager, to operate and maintain the club on a day-to-day basis. We will be supporting employment at many of the businesses located in the Chartwell Square complex, as we typically offer refreshments which are purchased locally. And in closing, just quickly, I wish to draw your attention to the letter we received from the local councillor, Jamal Myers, who fully endorses our application as part of the Provincial Policy Statement Growth Plan.
Okay, thank you very much. Perhaps we can hear from the third applicant, and then we'll have questions for all of you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, most of what I intended to speak to this morning has already been said, so I'm going to abbreviate and put my notes down. And what I'd like to start by saying is Masonry is not only the most ancient, but it's the most moral institution that ever existed, as every character, figure, and emblem serves to inculcate the practice of virtue in all its genuine professors. Martin spoke to it a little bit. What we try and do as Masons is take good men into our organization, men who believe in a supreme being, have a clean record, and have a standing position within their own communities. And we help them to become better by studying the basis of the universe, which is geometry and mathematics. What we're looking to do here is there were 3 Masonic lodges. A lodge is a group of guys that get together and call themselves a lodge. And the original 3 lodges, one of which I'm a master at the moment, is Scarborough Lodge, Wexford Lodge, and Birchcliff Lodge. Those 3 lodges used to meet in an old wooden building that was located just north of Sheppard between Midland and Kennedy Roads. Sorry, between Brimley and Kennedy Road. That lodge building burnt down, and they lived in private residences for quite a while. Excuse me, I don't normally get nervous when I'm talking in public, but I feel very strongly about this situation. We used to have 2 lodge buildings in the east end of Toronto, one located at Markham and Ellesmere, the Scarborough Masonic Temple, and one located at Main and Danforth, which was the East Toronto Masonic Temple. Both those buildings we had to sell because they were getting aged and requiring extra work being done on them. And our Grand Lodge mandated that they be brought up to modern building codes, which was going to cost more money than we could afford. So we sold the buildings and we formulated a plan to build a new building, a state-of-the-art building in Toronto. And over the past 15 years, we've tried to partner with several people, including Wexford Seniors Home down on Lawrence Avenue. We looked at building a building at Birchmount and Lawrence that would replace their aging structure. That didn't work. Every corner, every avenue we followed to find a property in the east end of Toronto has been thwarted by the city's planning departments. Permits have not been granted. We've looked at commercial buildings and we've been told you can't use them because they're zoned for commercial. And here we are now, we found what we believe is a perfect property for us. We won't own it, but we're prepared to lease it for a minimum of 10 years up front and longer later on. And it has everything we want. It has parking, it has elevator access to the second floor for our aging membership. It has access to the transportation system, which the City of Toronto is extending along Sheppard Avenue. And it basically meets our needs and allows us to fulfill our mandate in the community. And as Martin said, the local councillor we met with him almost 2 months ago, and he indicated he would support our request for a variance. And I basically asked that you people, Madam Chair, the members of this meeting, well, look upon our application favourably, please. You are our last option.
Thank you very much for that presentation. Now, we had a question.
Through the chair, there's also someone online as well.
Oh, the architect is on the line. Do you wish to speak?
Through the chair, Mirzad, you have been unmuted.
Is the architect on
Can
the
you
line?
hear me now?
Yes. May I have your name, please?
My name is Mirzad Tatras from Tatras Architects.
And what is your position? Are you representing the Masonic Lodge or are you representing Chartwell Shopping Center?
No, I'm representing a Masonic Lodge.
Okay, thank you. I just needed that clarification. All right, you have 5 minutes to speak as well.
Okay, all I wanted to add is that this building is designed technically for a assembly building, such as a club. So in terms of the Ontario Building Code, there is nothing, to stop them from occupying this place as such. So that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we'll turn back to questions from our panel. Mr. Khan, you had a question. No more questions? Any other questions from the panel members? Mr. Mohammed.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I would like one clarification for my own benefit.
Okay.
It's an existing building, and they are occupying second floor. And I understand there is no tree or forestry involvement. But in the late submission, I got forestry conditions. Am I right or wrong? Just for my own benefit.
Okay, to staff, perhaps you could clarify if there's no construction, we would not likely have forestry conditions.
Through the chair, urban forestry was circulated. They did not have any comments. Ravines and natural area protections did indicate that they have no conditions on this application.
Sorry, they have
No conditions.
no issues.
No conditions.
Oh, no conditions. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that word. Okay, so there's no conditions from
Thank you.
forestry or the ravine bylaw.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Mr. Stinson.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe the Deputy Treasurer could help us out here. The CP concerns, I'm trying to find that in the documentation here. Could you maybe enlighten me a little bit more?
Through the chair, it's in the supplementary agenda. We can share it on our screen.
I think if I can add to this, what community planning has said is that the zoning bylaw is neighborhood commercial, and it's a shopping plaza, but it doesn't permit a club. The official plan in this area is employment. And as an official plan, it would be looking for an industrial use, not a shopping plaza. And so the issue, I believe, let me just see if they've expressed it the same way, is that can you give me the second page here? Oh, we got a lot of comments. The issue is that this is not supposed to be, this is supposed to be an employment area, such as an industrial manufacturing or office use. Neither the neighborhood commercial uses nor the proposal that we have in front of us really fits into that. And that's the dilemma we have here. So.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yeah, Mr. Say.
Thank you so much. Actually, it's a question to the speakers. The comments of all the three speakers were great. They added into the further information, which is appreciated. But the thing is, the debates or the discussion over here was mainly what the organization is doing, Masonic Club Toronto East. Of course, they are doing a good job, a great job, and they have been serving the community, whatever. But the thing is, the place, it's not that what the organization is doing, what their role is, how productive and beneficial it's for the community. We appreciate that. But the question over here is that the site is designated as the general employment area. That is the major question. And this employment area is designated by the city for the economic activities and for the business activities. So my question is mainly not your organization, what it's doing is how it relates to these kind of activities. That is the point where you have to build upon, and you have to justify that you are adding into the economic activity and business activity because this area is for that purpose. You said that the area is very suitable for that, for your organization because of the space, because of the elevator, because of the meeting place. This could be, that office could be located somewhere else, right? But the limitation to me, while considering this variance, is how it is contributing towards economic and business activities.
Perhaps I could answer that question.
Would you come back to the mic, please, sir?
The building is primarily going to be used for evening meetings. There'll be one lodge meeting there on a particular night of the month, and those nights are fixed. We estimate, based on information we receive back from the various lodges that meet in the East End of Toronto, that we will have something like 20 organizations meeting there. So that means that 20 evenings of the month, on weekdays, the building will be occupied. Most of the meetings will be comprised of approximately 15 to 20 members, will be the average for a normal meeting. But we do have meetings throughout the year when we invite our governing body, the Grand Lodge of Canada in the province of Ontario, to attend the meetings. And on those nights, we may get up to 100 people in attendance. There are no catering facilities in the lodge building that we're proposing other than a warming oven and a microwave for looking after meat pies and stuff like that when we're having a cup of coffee after the meetings, and we have a social repast, as we call it. And in a lot of cases, right now we order food into the building from outside agencies. We've used the local Loblaw store to provide us with sandwiches, a tray full of sandwiches. So we will be contributing to the local community in our purchases of their products and services. We will also be contributing to the local community, the residential community, in that we have programs available that meet the needs of families to look after the welfare of their children and give them a lesson in how to grow and be responsible for your actions while you're growing. That's where the Rainbow Girls and BRIMLEY come in. We'll also have programs such as the Masonic Chip program, which is basically recognized by the Ontario Provincial Police as a good program for identifying children and providing a record of them, which we give to their parents on a little chip similar to the one you put in your cell phone. And they take it home with them along with a sample of the child's DNA, so that if the child goes missing, they can hand this to the local police force and it can be broadcast in seconds to the whole community to help search for these children and find them.
Can I just add something?
Yeah, sure.
I think your question was more about employment in the area. As I said in my presentation, we will be hiring 2 people, a custodian and an office manager. That would be the minimal thing that we would do as far as employment. But I want to draw your attention to the existing tenants. One's a pot shop that has 2 employees. One's a convenience store that has 2 employees. The Kumon Learning Centre has 2 employees. Like, I'm not sure, what is the standard for employment? What is it? What's the standard we have to meet, basically?
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to give a little bit of an explanation of that to you. We had an application at their last meeting for a fitness institute in an industrial area. It wasn't permitted. This committee approved it, and we understand that the City of Toronto is going to take us to essentially the Ontario Review Committee. And the reason for that is that the City of Toronto is trying to protect its employment areas. And so if you don't fit into that nice little category, and I have a little bit of sarcasm here, but if you don't fit into that nice little category of being an employment use, being manufacturing, industrial, or office use, the City of Toronto is trying to protect and preserve that. That is why we have a staff report that says this application should be refused as it doesn't comply with the official plan. The uses in the plaza also don't comply with the official plan, but they're already there. So you've got a bit of a conundrum here, whereas if you look at the uses, they're there. In my view, as a use, you fit in with those other uses. But if those uses are not really, shouldn't be there because they're not employment, then we're only adding to the problem by allowing another use that isn't employment. So I think that's really what we're trying to struggle with, not with the fact that it's a Masonic lodge.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with the Masonic lodge. The problem is the location and what is the ultimate use protecting the employment areas.
Can I have one more comment, please? I won't take very long. The councillor, Jamal Myers, pointed out, I haven't got the thing in front of me, he pointed out that our application does actually fit the City of Toronto and Ontario plan for future growth. How is that at variance with what Henry Tang said?
I'm sorry, I can't get into a debate any further. I was just trying to give you a little bit of an explanation to understand why we have a staff report that says no. Now, it's up to us to determine whether we follow that staff report or whether we approve your application. So I now look to our committee members for their comments.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you to all the speakers. You're very well spoken, and it's quite a moving discussion to hear what you had to say. This body is governed by the 4-test rule, and the chair spoke to that. And that has to deal with conforming to general intent, and all has to conform to the official plan. There are entities there, as you so well said, are already on site, but it doesn't mean it continues. So this is the dilemma that the chair is made very clear, I think. So I just want to thank you, and it's going to be an interesting decision. Thank you.
Do I have any other comments from other members? Nope. Do I have a motion?
Through the chair, you need to announce that you're going into committee.
Thank you. Well, there's no further comments from our members. We are now going into committee.
Thank you.
And I am looking for a motion. Mr. Said.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a good discussion on that. And yes, the point is this area is this is employment area and the city, and we would like to be having a business activities there or employment activities there, which this club is not suit to that area. Madam Chair, therefore, keeping in view these remarks and comments by all, I hereby move motion for refusal of item 14.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Mr. Khan will second that. So the motion is to refuse. Second by Mr. Sean. All those in favor of the refusal? Okay, that motion carries.
Through the chair, who did it? Was this unanimous or not?
No, sorry. Mr. Said and Mr. Hahn have voted in favor, and Mr. Stinson did not vote, and I did not vote. Mr. Stinson did not vote in favor.
Through the chair, members need to vote. If they don't have a conflict, they need to vote.
Okay. So we had an application for refusal. Am I looking for a vote?
All members, if they don't have a conflict, need to vote.
Thank you, Deputy Treasurer. I'm not agreeing with the refusal. So in that sense,
So then the chair needs to say who's in favor, who's opposed, and if you're opposed, you put your hand up.
and I was waiting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, in favor of the, this gets tricky, doesn't it? In favor of the motion to refuse this application, is moved by Mr. San, seconded by Mr. Hahn. All those in favor of the refusal? All those opposed to the refusal? Thank you.
Through the chair, are you going to vote?
No, because I would tie the vote.
Okay, thank you. So you, for the record, you've abstained.
I'm going to abstain in this case.
Okay, thank you.
Something to ponder on. If we're not allowed to operate a club in a employment area, and we have trouble getting permits to build a club in a residential area, and we can't take over an industrial unit to operate our club. Where the hell are we supposed to go in the city of Toronto?
We can't really help you very much, but I suggest that you have a meeting with city staff. And
Through the chair, deliberations have ended on this application.
okay, all right. I regret that we could not assist you.
Madam Chair, I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Okay, we have item number 16. No. Item number 15. 12 Woodland Park Road. And it's 1:45. Item 15.
Through the chair, there are two items left. Do you wish to continue and then take the break after those two items?
I'm looking at that. What's the wishes of the chair, wishes of the committee? We'll continue with those last two items and then we'll take a break? Okay.
Yes.
So, item number 15.
Through the chair, there's actually a speaker for item number 16 that's in the audience, just for a point of clarification.
Thank you. We'll speak to you and then we'll have lunch. Okay, you're the applicant? Good. Okay, so we're back to, you're the applicant for 47 CROCKFORD Boulevard, correct? Okay. All right, we have to deal with item number 15 first. 15.
15.
Yes, good afternoon, or good morning, or afternoon. My name is Leo Mastandrea. I'm the agent for the owners at 12 Woodland Park Road.
Okay, thank you, Leo.
And,
Would you give me a minute, please? I need to introduce this application. So this is an
No problem.
Thank you. This is an application for 12 Woodland Park Road. The application is to construct a second story above an existing one-story. And we're getting an echo here. Okay, the application here is, there are 3 variances, and I believe the applicant is online. Do the, let me just get here. Okay, so the applicant is online. Committee, do you wish a presentation? Seeing none. Applicant, do you have anything further you wish to say? We have read your report and we have considered the application in front of us. Is there anything else that you would like to add to it?
No, just that we have support from the neighbors, no comments from any of the staff. So yes, I think it's a pretty straightforward application.
Okay. Committee members, do you have any comments or questions? Yes, Mr. Sayed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Could the applicant elaborate on variance number 2, where the height is 10.21 meter?
So if you look at my supporting material, page number 1 of my supporting material at number 20 Woodland Park, they were approved at 10.21. I have it highlighted there at the bottom. It was just to articulate the gables in the front. And that was the reason why we chose that number, is because there was approval by the committee for that number.
Staff, can we see the building elevation? Because I believe the height here is really just for the front of the building, for the gables, and not for the entire roof. But Perhaps the applicant can confirm that. Is the height for,
It's just to, it is for the gable at the front, but it does wrap around to the building. It does wrap around, but it's a slope, slopes to the middle beyond the front. It
Okay.
slopes to the mid of the roof.
all right. Thank you for that clarification. This isn't the application I was thinking of, where just the front elevation was higher and the remainder of the building was not. So this one, you're looking for that height for the entire roof in essence. Any comments from committee members? Do I have a motion from committee? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think we have three variances in front of us, minor in nature. Therefore, I move this application be approved.
Okay. Do I have a seconder?
Chair, I second that.
Okay. Moved by Mr. Khan, seconded by Mr. Stinson, that this application be approved. I'm just checking to see if there's any conditions. No conditions? All those in favor? That motion is carried. Thank you very much.
Through the chair, are you voting?
Pardon?
Are you voting on this?
Yes, I'll approve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We're moving on to item number 16, 47 CROCKFORD. And I believe the applicant is in the audience.
Yes, good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Nicholas Dell. I'm the applicant and authorized agent. I reside at 1370.
Is the speaker on there?
I think so. Is this better?
That's better.
Okay, I'll stand a little closer. 1370 here, Ontario Street, Mississauga. Harper Dell and Associates, Nicholas Dell. I note we're just before lunch on the end of our 10 a.m. agenda, but I would like to note for the committee's understanding that we don't have any comments.
Okay.
I was told that was
understand-
coming in today.
Yeah, I understand that we have an alarm to make sure that all of us know in case of emergency. I heard, I guess, yours.
Yes, I
I
think
don't know if any other members, their cell phones went off. Okay. I don't believe we have to stand at attention or do anything marvelous other than just acknowledge that, yes, we heard the alarm and that's for our own benefit.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you to start over again, sir.
Sure, not at all. Nicholas Dell, for the record, Harper Dell and Associates, 47 CROCKFORD. There's one variance for this committee today. I do note that it's almost lunchtime, and so a brief presentation may be for the benefit of the committee. The Forestry, TRCA, Community, and Planning departments have provided no conditions. The separation distance we're seeking is for a cannabis production facility. That definition under the bylaw used to have a more broader context prior to it becoming inducted into the rule of law 5 years ago in October. I'd like to impose two considerations for this particular application in and of itself, through you, Madam Chair, in that it is a micro facility, which is limited to 200 meters square of growing area only. It's not going to occupy any additional space beyond the building envelope in question. My client and his family have owned this property for over 20 years and have successfully run a repair operation. And the application before you today is seeking a variance to reduce the separation distance from an open space zone. There is a presentation I may go through, but in the interest of time, I'd be happy to answer more questions from the committee related to the use. But I would like to note that even though we have no conditions, for the committee's comfort in the review of this application's lack of adverse impact to the neighborhood, there are two stipulations I'd like to put forward so that you can understand what you would be approving today. One is that this is a micro operation and there is no extraction. The definition doesn't get into the size of grow area or the list of operations under the license. Health Canada has a very rigorous parameters related to light, noise, security, and smell. The separation distance variances under the permissions in an E-zone do relate to sensitive land use separations, none of which are at cause in this case. It's just a separation to the Taylor Massey Creek in the rear. My understandings with staff and having worked on this application for over a year before coming to the committee is that the intent of a separation distance variance for open space is really about security and natural features. We've addressed the natural features requirement through discussions with the TRCA, through a tree protection plan, and we note that we're well away from any of the mature trees beyond the boundary within the creek bed. I also note from a topographic survey that the slope of that creek from the bottom of the embankment to the top wall where my client's property begins is over 4 meters, and there are 10 mature trees that dot the boundary of that property line. So from a security perspective, meeting the intent of that separation distance, this particular case shows quite a steep, well-treed, fenced embankment leading into the open space zone, in a building that's been there for over 20 years in a micro setting with no extraction. So I'd be happy to answer further questions, Madam Chair, before the committee takes this matter into consideration. But I do note that I believe this is good planning and we conform with the 4 tests, and it's been a lot of work getting here today, and this is not what I would call a premature application.
Thank you. I have one question, and that is that you have to satisfy, is it Health Canada? You have to satisfy them in order to get a permit.
That's correct. Through you, Madam Chair, it's a bit of a chicken or the egg. We did hire a federal licensing consultant. They're former Health Canada employees that have gone private, and in that sector, they were able to do an audit for security and to evaluate whether this building would meet the requirements of the Health Canada license. They've provided a security plan, noise and odor mitigating measures, and all of those meet the requirements of getting approval for Health Canada. But the stipulation for that complete application requires a local approval, and that's why we're here today to deal with a separation distance. On that note as well, Madam Chair, if this use was located in the front of the building, we would be 70 meters away. But the way the crow flies and the bylaws interpreted, it's from property line to property line, and so we're seeking 0. But I thought that is important for this case's understanding.
Okay, thank you. Panel members, do we have any questions? Mr. Mohammed.
When you say it's a micro production facility, could you just further elaborate on that? Because this could be a relative term for some of us. So could you let us know because it's a production facility, right?
Correct.
So what kind of production process is involved there? I want to understand it in terms of order, security, and shipments.
Sure, very good. Thank you for your question. Through you, Madam Chair, a micro facility has a very clear definition in Health Canada standards, some of which have been supplied to the committee in advance and to the public as well. From a security perspective, there are no difference between a micro and a macro LP, our licensed producer, that is. There must be 360 degrees, no blind spot security, and 24-hour security clearance, vetting of employees and random audits from Health Canada. So from a security perspective, there is no difference between a micro and a macro. From an impact perspective on the use, a micro is limited only to 200 meters square of grow area, which is where they can cultivate the plant. The other operations associated with the life of a plant under a licensed LP holder would be to take mothers or small saplings, grow them in the 200 meter square area until maturity. Then you would clip and trim and dry this product, and then package it in a wholesale fashion. So you'd have cultivation, you'd have trimming, drying, and you'd have packaging. All of those are still enshrined in a micro facility permission, and those are the parameters in addition to security that Health Canada would request license holders to constantly upheld and annually reapply for inspection in order to meet that standard.
What are the specific reasons for selecting this site? I mean, what's the reasons for that? The ownership of auto workshop and this place is the one. That could be a different thing. But what else made you, what are the rationale for this site selection?
I appreciate that question very much because before I take on my clients, I help to give them some rationale from a planning perspective because I don't like taking on cases that I don't think make good planning. And when I was doing my evaluation some year ago, I recognized that there's intent behind these policies that are a guideline for the administrative purposes of staff across the entire city. But when I look street by street, property by property, case by case, I find that we are only not meeting one aspect of the separation distances regulating this zone, regulating this use. From an official plan perspective, core employment is satisfactory, and that's where we find ourselves today. From a zoning perspective, E is also satisfactory, which is where we find ourselves. The only stipulation that I have had working on this particular use for the past 5 years are sensitive land use separation distances, and of which none of these apply. We're not close to any schools. We're not close to any community centers. We're not close to a different type of open space zone that would have a park where kids and other families would be enjoying themselves and maybe buffeted by odor or the essence of security issues. So I believe that this particular site and the use and the bylaw as it regulates where appropriately this use ought to go is satisfactory to be minor and desirable, let alone forming the intent on the security purposes around the separation distance for open space. If it had been not as well treated, if it had been less of a steep slope, if it had been further away, if it had been not as close, then I would have had a different opinion to bring to the chair today. My opinion of this case, before I took it on, before we matured it through a pre-application meeting to the staff for zoning application review committee and to come to the committee of adjustment, was to make sure staff had enough awareness of the nuances of this case in particular and why it met the 4 tests. Other cases, I would agree with you, would not have been as appropriate. And so for those reasons, Madam Chair, I hope I've answered the member's question.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Khan? Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, my question is, sir, this is the employment area, and you have a least employment 2 to 10, and also working hours are less from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Sir, how can I understand that in an employment area, you have such a small contribution to the economy of this province and city? That thing doesn't jive in my head, that I should be considering this application for approval. And also, I have a question. My real question is that your product will be releasing contaminants and odor. Have you done any survey in their locality that this product will be acceptable to them?
Thank you for your 2-part question, Mr. Khan. Through you, Madam Chair, I'll answer the first portion accurately when it comes to employment. Core employment as a designation would permit a manufacturing processing.
Could you kindly speak up a little bit louder?
I'm sorry, it's a bit of an awkward way to speak. I'll try and stay this close to the microphone. Thank you for your 2-part question, Mr. Khan. Through you, Madam Chair, the first portion of that question relates to employment. And under the core employment designation, manufacturing and processing type uses are considered something of economic viability, and it does contribute to the vitality of employment uses. So manufacturing, processing, which is essentially a corollary of this use, is an employment use. And there are no stipulations related to this being a use permission variance. This is a separation distance variance only. For example, were we permitted on the same street across the road, we wouldn't be before this committee because as of right, we would be an employment use in an employment zone under the core employment designation. So all that I am packaging for your understanding is that this is an employment use that contributes to the economic vitality and is protected by the designation and therefore conforms to the intent of the official plan for employment uses. The second part of your question, I'm sorry, I had to just recall what it was. I got lost in my own answer. The second part of your question was about odor. I have been working with cannabis ever since it became introduced into the code of law, and odor has always been the most ostensibly noxious aspect or the most adverse impact of a use like this. And having dealt with municipalities when they were writing their cannabis bylaw after it was introduced in Niagara-on-the-Lake, in Selwyn, in Brampton, in Mississauga, in Toronto as well, I have dealt with a variety of scale of these cannabis type uses, coming from 24-hour overnight tropical temperature controlled warehouses where the use is permitted. There is no separation distances, and there is an odor. There was and still continues to be an issue with odor. Health Canada has since amended itself in the parameters relating to odor controls. And there's a Latin phrase that we've been using to create positive case precedences for what is within the jurisdiction of this committee and what's already occupied by Health Canada, called ultra vires. And that's Latin for saying that this is my occupied jurisdiction, and that's a space that Health Canada occupies. We cannot get an approval unless there are carbon filters and odor mitigating measures that relate to the license. And unfortunately, not to dissuade you from your point, but what's before the committee today is a separation distance from an open space zone, which doesn't necessarily relate to odor controls. So if there's an opinion you'd like to put forward to this committee related to odor, I'm sorry to disagree with you, but through the chair, I don't see how that relates to the variance request.
Madam Chair, if with your permission, last question, may I ask?
Yes, you have.
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you, Madam. Sir, my last question is, the security of this product. You see, opioid products are very much in news these days. People stealing here, there, and everywhere. And our police is doing their best, but still can't control. You have producing a thing which will invite a lot of people of interest to come. What is the security arrangement that you have?
Thank you again for your question. I do appreciate the transparency I can provide you. There is a lot to take place after today with Health Canada when it comes to the security protocols and licensing requirements and the annual audits, if not monthly audits, for a new LP to start up, even in a micro setting. Part of the supplementary materials provided to this committee today to compel them to agree with me that this is good planning is there's a security plan. There's a security plan that includes a rigorous amount of 24/7 surveillance, of 360-degree surveillance, as well as security fencing, personnel, and qualified professionals to uphold the standards of that license. So from a security perspective, I appreciate your point, especially as it relates to the variance request for a separation distance from an open space zone. When I was speaking to staff, they mentioned to me that the reason for the separation was not only because it may relate to sensitive land uses, meaning parks, that fall under the open space zone, but it mainly resorts to, can people use the open space zone to get access to this property and violate its security protocols? And the difference in this case, as opposed to other cases where it may very well provide a very good corridor for thieves, is that there is a 4-meter grade difference and a very steep slope that is heavily treed, and there's a security fence and a guardrail full of vehicles that my client has been occupying for his repair use. It is in no uncertain terms, Madam Chair, Fort Knox. And this particular application, in and of itself, I believe meets the intent of the security provisions under the separation distance. That is just to say, for your own awareness today, that we have hired a federal consultant, and they have already vetted through their own security audit that this is adequately safe and will meet the standards of Health Canada. I hope I've answered your question, sir.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you, Chair. I'll be quick. Production times, you may have stated it. What are they?
Production times, meaning the life of the plant, or with the hours of operation?
Hours of operation.
So this is a private facility that's going to be open after 5 o'clock only. So there are, of course, there's a life of a plant, and as your health plants probably know, when you go away on vacation, there is some care needed throughout the life of the plant. But in terms of personnel and security, there's 24-hour remote surveillance and ID cards to get in and out of the facility, but it's only ever accessed by the licensed private professionals after the hours of 5 o'clock.
So 5 until what is production time?
5 until 10 p.m. And
that's 5 p.m.?
That's 5 p.m.
Okay, thank you. Second question. That was wonderful. The second question is retail space. Sometimes when different facilities open up in production, they'll open up a retail section. Is that in this plan?
Through you, Madam Chair, I appreciate the question very much because under certain manufacturing uses, there's a 20% retail component. That is not at all contemplated for the site, and that is an appropriate condition to impose. That's never been the intent of this operation. It's private. It's an Ontario Cannabis Store or OCS retailer. Will be purchased by the province. and is not available to the public. It's located at the rear of a property behind a variety of fences, which has other, of course, cars in place for the repair. It's not open to the public, and it never will be. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Are we ready to take this matter into committee? Do you have a comment? Or do I have a motion? Mr.
It's
Sayed?
it's a comment, Madam Chair. It was a good presentation by Nicholas Dahl. He provided the information which we wanted to seek from him. Madam Chair, still, I understand they have the licensing from the health, but at the same time, the city requirement or the bylaws requirements stand valid there, and that clearly says it should be in the open space zone category, and especially when there are risk factors involved to that in terms of, like we mentioned, order is there, or security, or shipments, working hours, all these things. In favor of all those risks and requirement of the bylaws, I am not very supportive to this application. Thank you, Madam Chair.
An opportunity to rebut, Madam Chair, if we're in that.
No, I'm sorry, we're in.
You've taken it in?
now.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
I think you've given us a lot of information. Thank you.
Sure, there are just two other precedents that have been approved.
Through the chair, this is in committee.
Thank you.
Yes, this is in committee.
Apologies.
Okay. Any other comments from committee? Do I have a motion? Need a motion to approve or refuse? Mr. Said?
As I mentioned, my opinions and the background for that, keeping in view those comments, Madam Chair, I will move motion for refusal of this application.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
What was the motion?
Refusal of the application.
Second.
You'll second the motion?
I will second the motion.
Okay, I have a motion for refusal and a seconder. All in favor of the refusal motion? Okay, your application is refused.
Thank you and enjoy your lunch.
Thank you. Okay, that ends the morning session of the committee. I have 10 after.
Through the chair,
1, yep.
through the chair, did you vote on that, Member Macaulay?
It's a refusal? I'll the vote in refusal.
Yeah.
Okay. I looked at the other ones that I had refused with the same use. Okay.
Through the chair, that concludes the morning session. How long a break would you like to take? Can you please turn your microphone on?
So what time will be back?
That's on. Am I on or off? I think we need a long lunch. It is 1:15. I'm up to the committee. The afternoon agenda would normally start at 1:30. I would like to start as close to 1:30 as possible, but 15 minutes isn't going to do us very much. Are committee members agreeable to be back here at 1:45? Is that okay? Okay?
Yeah.
Staff, we can come back at 1:45?
That's fine.
And you'll put some sort of note on here saying that the committee's will be back at 1:45?
Correct.
Thank you.
Can you turn off your mic?